Hello and welcome to our channel and a warm welcome from Bronte country. What a place to be able to do a reading wrap up in front of that, yeah? Come home cottage. So we're currently staying in Haworth it's a working holiday where we're basically here to film videos and content for all of our followers, and we've had some fun doing it. So there's vlogs, reading wrap up, channeling of Emily Bronte on the other. Every channel I think that we've got has got a little bit of something special from Haworth, and this is my reading wrap up. I've also got some Yorkshire tea, and look how I do have it like builders. We live in Lincolnshire, and it is true what they say about Yorkshire water and Yorkshire tea. When we first moved to Lincolnshire, I took some Yorkshire tea with me. It's not like you can't get it down there, but anyway, shh. And it just wasn't the same, so I poured myself one here. I don't know about you, but I had an absolutely fantastic October reading month. I think it's the best month I've had so far for a long time. I'd just like to say I've got them here. I think every book, packed a punch. Every book was interesting. Every book had me, okay? And I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. So let's get to it. The first book I read in October is this one, okay? And it's called From Hoping to Having: The Formula to Wealth and Success by Julie Poole. Now, I know many of you will already know Julie Poole from her tarot channel. This book, again, I've had it on my shelf for some time, but wow. I already knew a lot of what she was saying anyway, and sometimes it does you good to hear it from somebody else and to remind yourself of it, to make changes to your life. And I have made changes to my life, changes that she recommends, and boy, has that made a difference. There was one particular point in this book where we'd gone for a Reiki session each. Gary went up first, I was sat downstairs in the waiting room, and there was a particular piece that triggered me at first. I just sat with it, and all of a sudden when I just said, you know what, sit with this trigger and find out what it really is about, and I did, and something released, and I just got it. I got it. And as I'm getting it, Gary comes down the stairs to say, I've just had my session, it was great. And as I'm talking to him, I actually mentioned this book. I was like, this chapter's just blown me. I had a crystal bracelet on, and it literally just went boof and exploded. Now, when that happens, it's usually that you've cleared something, that it's a symbolic of boof, something has been cleared, something has been lifted. It's a fascinating book. It's an amazing book. It gives us a reality check, and it shows us how we and we alone are the cause of a lack of abundance and a poor mindset. Fantastic book. Easy to read, easy to understand, very real, very down to earth, very grounded. And this is somebody that actually has gone from nothing to having a lot. So yeah, I loved it. The second book I read was this one, and it's called Rule Britannia by Daphne du Maurier. And it's the set I've got. And I've read Jamaica in Rebecca and my cousin Rachel, I think. I'm not sure. I know I've definitely read the first two. I've never read this one. And I was a little bit, I'm not sure if I want to start, because I've got the full book set now. I'm not sure I want to start with one that I'm not sure about. But I'm glad I did. It's very different to a lot of du Maurier's books and du Maurier's work. What I liked about this was, so basically, it's Cornwall, it's after the war, they wake up, and the start of this book, you think you're in America. And I thought, how is she going to do this? Because she is a Cornish writer. Her books are Cornish. She's great at getting us into that Cornish energy. So how am I going to sit with this? Because you literally feel like you're in America. Well, that's what's happening in the book. UK has been taken over by American forces. So it's very dystopian. They're in the UK, the US military are in Cornwall. They're slowly taking charge of this little fishing village. This is a story of the people of that fishing village, how that affects them, how they survive, how they go forward from that. The story of their lives also intertwined. I really, really enjoyed this. But so fitting because it starts off where UK has left the European economy, the European Union. And reading it now, looking back to when she read this, it's like, channeled or what? Interesting. It's a difficult one as well to read because we're kind of not going through what they're going through. But yeah, there's some interesting energies out in the world today. The next book I had was a gift from one of you lovely followers. And it's called The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Marianne Schaffer and Annie Barrows. There you go. Now this book is in the form of letters. And when I started it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to take to this. Because I don't think I've ever read a book. I was thinking about this. I'm sure I've read a book that partly uses letters, but not where the whole book is letters. And you know something? I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. It was a cosy book, but it also was a book that wasn't afraid to go into certain areas and have discussions about society at the time and about the brutality of war. Quick long story short, it's by a female journalist, and again I think it's post-war, another post-war, it's post-war, and she starts to write to people, and she hears about this, what is it, the Guernsey Literary and the Potato Peel Pie Society. She starts to get written connection with one of the men that run it, this book club and this society, and she's fascinated by all the different lives that are there, so she goes over to Guernsey and she gets involved with the local community, the local book club, the stories of the people that are there, and it's just a really nice book. A heartwarming book that's not afraid to go beneath the surface into the human condition. I really liked it. I'm getting frustrated. What was that book I've read that I did have letter forms in it? I can't remember. Anyway, so far so good. And then I read this one, and I loved this one as well. It's called The Grief House, and it's by Rebecca Thorne. Everyone is lying, but the dead know the truth. This is about a tarot reader, very psychic, very intuitive. Her mother has died, and it rocks her world. It's a very dark book. It rocks her world. She finds out about a grief house, and it's a retreat that you can go to deal with your grief. So let's have some tea before it goes cold. Yes, Yorkshire tea with Yorkshire water. So it's a grief house. But when she gets there, you can tell the world isn't right. This house isn't right. The people that own it and run it aren't right. The people that are there, there's three other people that are there with her. One disappears on the first night, and you find out what's happened to him. And the other two are very mysterious. And I think they spend a week there, a few days there, and it just literally, like a lot of these books where there's a group of people staying in a house in dark circumstances with mysterious pasts, it unravels. And each one of these people is bringing a deeply dark story to the table. But what I loved about this as well was the fact that it talks about tarot and it talks about psychic abilities, but it also talks about the other side of that, the dark side of that. Many people see tarot and crystal balls and crystals and all of that kind of stuff and crystal shops and incense, but to actually walk this path properly, there is a darker aspect. When you are a highly sensitive soul that is highly intuitive, highly psychic, you see things that many people can't see, and it's covered in this book how this, what's her name actually? Ex-tarot reader Blue, she's called Blue, I think it's Blue Ball or something like that, but she's called Blue. And she stepped away from tarot, she stepped away from the work that she did because she has a bad experience and that's it, she steps away. But it just brought home to me what this work, the work that I do, can be like, especially in the early days when you've no idea how to really channel it correctly. You've no idea, you've not got the experience under your belt. You've not got the life experience under your belt to understand how to conduct yourself, how to deal with spirit. That only comes with fucking up and life experience and the falls that she has in this book. So I really, really enjoyed it. And I love the analogy as well about how the story goes on and how they're getting deeper into their own shit and deeper into the trauma and the darkness of this house. So is the flood around the house. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Recommend it. Did that book remind me of any others? I don't know. I'm not the kind of channel that can say, if you like that book, then read this book. Because, yeah. Sometimes I do. Sometimes if you like that book, then that book might be good. But yeah, it's not on my brain waves to do that. Let's have some more tea. I do hope this isn't picking up this slur, but if it is, it's fine. We're all friends. The next one I read is called Sociopath. A memoir by, I think her name is Patrice Gagne. Apologies if I've butchered another name. It's a memoir. It's a very raw and honest memoir. It's a memoir about a sociopath. She starts off in her childhood and all the strange things that she did as a sociopath. She talks about how it's affected her, the fact of not being able to feel, of not being able to feel love, of not being able to feel when you give birth to your baby, of not being able to feel when you get dumped and all of that, these urges that she gets to go off and do certain things and how it affects her family life. And she has actually done a lot of work for sociopaths and for people who know sociopaths, are related to sociopaths, live with sociopaths, recovering from sociopaths, for us to have more understanding about them. Because she, like she says in the book, a lot of what you see and hear about sociopaths in the mainstream media is scary and derogatory and not very helpful. And she actually makes, as you go through the book, you start off like, this is really, I'm not sure I can read this. I don't want to read about a little girl that just has an urge to do something naughty and do something cruel and not even have a, you know what I mean? I don't, it's horrible. But as you go through the book, you realise that this is an illness. It's not just that they're bad, that they're naughty, that they're unfeeling. It's an actual illness. And you get to a point where you think, God, because there's a part in the book where, I don't know, she's obviously speaking to someone and they're going through something traumatic. And they say to her, yeah, but it's okay for you because you don't feel. You don't know what it's like to feel. You don't know what it's like to have a bad day at work and feel. You don't know what it's like to get dumped and feel. You don't know what it is to feel fear and all of that. And she says, actually, yeah, I get what you're saying, but to not feel is just as troubling and concerning. And you should end up sitting there and you think, how many times do we say, I just wish I didn't feel this anymore. I just wish I didn't hurt anymore. And yet when you actually speak to someone who's aware of the sociopathic tendencies and is trying to teach people that it's an illness, it's like, well, actually I'm glad I do feel. Taking it to a spiritual perspective, I do, as I'm talking to you guys, I'm wondering if on a level where somebody becomes a sociopath, is it at a spiritual level? I know this isn't the Claire Thackeray channel, this is the Thackeray's, but most of you have come from there anyway. Has there been a past life where you've said, I don't want to feel anything anymore, and you've numbed out and that's how you become a sociopath in the next incarnation? Or is it also as well, and on it can be all of it, where you have maybe felt too much in a lifetime, so you come back to feel nothing, to just balance it, so it doesn't drown you in feelings. Because imagine actually, if every lifetime you had where you felt deeply about everything, how exhausting would that be? So actually you do need lifetimes where you come back as a sociopath. Yeah, interesting. I know it's not got nothing to do with books, that, but it is what it is. And then, so I can highly recommend all of these books. And then, look at this with its I wanted to leave the charity sticker on because I wanted to be real. I wanted you to see that this book cost me £1. And you know what? It was belting. This is called The Things We Left Unsaid by Emma Kennedy. Yes. And it starts off with the protagonist who is stood up at the altar. Her dad has just died and she has to go back home to live with her mum, who she doesn't get on with. Well, actually it doesn't. It starts off in the 1965, I think it is, and then it goes back to the forward time. So it starts off with two sisters in 1965. Yes, and there's a chapter or two about them, and then it goes forward in time to the main protagonist, whose mother is one of the sisters. Yes, and the stories, the secrets and lies of her mother Eleanor, and the impact that has on Eleanor's life, her husband's life, and her daughter's life, and the unravelling of that, and how it makes you question everything. And Rachel, I'm sure it's Rachel, yes, Rachel, which is the daughter, the protagonist, goes through a stage in this book where she questions everything. I loved this. I think you could gobble this up in a day. And when I was reading it, I have struggled. I know I'm talking to you on using the hashtag booktube, and I know that I do bookish content on it, a little bit of bookish, but I have really struggled with a lot of my reading this past 12 months, even more so since watching booktube on YouTube, because a lot of the books I've been seen hyped, I've got them and I thought they were shite, utter shite, that I just didn't enjoy, and it's really upset my reading. And this book here, possibly this one as well, this book as well, and this book as well, and this one, and even that Julie Poole one, they're all books that I used to read anyway. My reading, I've never been into literary fiction. I'm not saying literary fiction is shit, because sometimes, actually, truthfully, I come across a literary fiction book and I really like it. But other books, the hype, like Book Talk, booktube hypes on books, I am finding, I know I'm not the only one thinking this, is really, really, really ruining my reading experience. Also seeing bookish creators with shelf after shelf, I found it overwhelming. I find it overwhelming when I see creators that say I've read 10 books, 15, 20 books. And I'm like, do you have a life? Do you know what I mean? And I think, as I said in one of these, the grief house, I do feel very deeply about things and I can get overwhelmed quite easily. And I find booktube overwhelming, really overwhelming. And I think the whole thing of reading shouldn't be overwhelming. It shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be, I don't know. Is it too much to read? 10, 15, 20 plus books a month? So just reading this, a nice, simple story with no because I think as well a lot of the modern books are getting too complicated, too trying to be everything to everyone, to tick all the boxes. Back in the day, an author would write a book to write a book. They wouldn't write a book with the Booker Prize in mind or the Women's Literature Prize in mind, women's fiction, whatever it is. Or for Instagram or for Book Talk, they'd write a book. And I think the whole publishing world at the minute is a strange place. So it was fantastic to pick up a book that reminded me of what I used to read. I was reading a podcast. I was listening to a podcast, and I can't remember who it was actually, said that the whole chicklet genre needs to change, that they need to stop calling it chicklet, because a lot of those books, yes, they're easy to read, yes, they're 10 a penny, But I've had many moments of comfort from that type of book. I think this would be classed as that, I'm not sure. But good old-fashioned books that when you go into a works, or when you go into a supermarket, or when you see them on a car boot, you probably, they're just nice, simple books. Do you know what I mean? That don't require to twist your brain. And I don't know as well if it's a perimenopause thing, where I just can't deal with. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, that's what I'm just saying. That's where I am right now. So yeah, let me hold it up for you. These are the books I read in October. I can recommend all of them. I enjoyed all of them. See if Gary can get a clip from that for the thumbnail. I enjoyed them all, recommend them all. Have you read any of these? What did you think to any of these that you've read? Has any of the books here made you want to read them? Are you going to read them? What did you read? Have you got any book recommendations that you think I'd like, that you think my followers would like? What was October reading like for you? Did you do any witchy reading? I mean, the only bit of spooky reading I've read there is The Grief House. I don't know what I think to that, I've never been a seasonal reader. I went into the main street yesterday and I went to, oh God, what's the bookshop called? Wave of Nostalgia. And I got 3 gothic fiction books. I could read them in summer. I've never ever heard of seasonal reading until I got on BookTube. Like I could pick up a beach book at Christmas and it won't bother me. And I find it strange that people say like my Halloween reading, my summer reading, my spring reading. We're all different, aren't we? We're all different. But yeah, are you like that? Do you seasonally read? Or could you pick up like a horror book in summer or a summer book in winter? Yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching. There is a playlist on here called BookTube or whatever where you can watch the bookish content. Thank you for watching. Please do like, comment, share, hype and all of that good stuff. Should we ask for emoji for this one? Put me a house emoji in the comment section if you've liked this video and want to comment but not sure what to put. A house for Grief House. Thank you for watching. Bye.